What's going on, y'all? My name is Brian Sanchez, and welcome to Living the Magic. I'll be doing some good old-fashioned blue skying discussion on this episode. No news, no headlines, none of that kind of stuff. Just talking some fun theme park stuff, and gonna dive right into it. Revenge of the Mummy at Universal Orlando is under construction. I'm gonna fix the camera here for a second. Is under construction with some much needed maintenance and refurbishment that the ride has needed for a while now. A lot of the effects have been unreliable for a very long time. Some track stuff, apparently there was rumors that some of it was starting to get worn out, and even heard that the entire ride control system had been replaced, just with updated technology and stuff, because it's a pretty old ride. It's been around for a while. So a lot of folks were worried that at this point they would, take the opportunity to, not just refurbish and update the ride, but to completely reimagine the attraction as well. A few years ago, Universal did take a massive swing with a Tom Cruise led Mummy film that was supposed to kick off the Dark Universe, and there were a lot of rumors that, the Revenge of the Mummy attraction would be replaced or updated to feature the characters from that franchise. Tanked at the box office and was not very well received with fans, and Universal has subsequently just kind of punted on the whole Dark Universe idea, I think, at this point, which is kind of sad because even though that film wasn't the greatest, the idea of bringing all those classic monsters into the fold is pretty cool. I think they're still trying to do it. They're still figuring out how to incorporate all those classic monsters, and I think the new theme park will be getting more stuff. But we're not talking about the new theme park. We're talking about the old theme park, Revenge of the Mummy. So yeah, there were rumors that maybe the story would be revamped a bit, and the premise of it being a hot film set where they are filming the next sequel to the Mummy franchise featuring Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz, that, was from like 1999, I believe, would be updated and replaced, and we would lose a lot of the classic fan favorite moments like the cup of coffee that Brendan Fraser is just desperately trying to get throughout the pre-show cue videos and stuff, and then the callback to it at the end of the attraction. Of course, I think a lot of fans were going to be really, really upset if that kind of stuff goes, and we don't entirely know that has stayed, but rumor has it that they haven't really done too much there. With the advent of social media and park updaters and stuff, we keep seeing that people are definitely trying to peek through windows here and there, and we did see that the original ride queue video was playing the other day in the queue, so leads many to believe that there's not going to be any changes to the overall storyline, which I think most folks are happy about. I am not one of them. As much as I love the premise of it being an on-set film, shoot, and all that, I feel that really ties in with the old ethos of Universal Studios and not the new one, where, it used to be a ride the movies and or this is a quote-unquote working movie set, and it was kind of like behind-the-scenes experiences to like be on the film sets and stuff like that, and that's not really what we're getting in these new experiences. We're getting full immersion into these stories, and so today I want to just give my pitch to what I would have done if I was in charge of Universal Creative, to update the attraction, to pay homage and to, keep the core identity of what the attraction is, but maybe just kind of bring it closer to what Universal is doing more recently and what we expect them to do in the future. So the first thing is that the building itself is the facade of a museum of antiquities set in New York. I would leave that facade. I would definitely set this attraction in a museum of antiquities, but instead of it just being, the facade for a film set, this is an actual museum of antiquities. The O'Connells, Rick and Evie, are bringing an exhibition of artifacts from their adventures in Egypt. So things from the original films, the Book of the Dead and the Bracelet of Anubis, things like that. Lean into those things and have them being here. And the premise of the ride would essentially be that we are there to experience like a lecture and a tour of this exhibition of all these things, led by Professor Evie O'Connell. And really let the Rachel Weisz character kind of be our like main focus of the attraction, with Rick O'Connell still being there, but kind of under protest. Evie wanting to, educate the public and let folks know about the history of these artifacts and the culture and everything. And Rick being the ever slightly pessimistic version of himself, being the one that, no, we shouldn't be bringing these things around, and, kind of annoyed that, that they're traveling around and doing this. And so in the pre-show and in the cues, those films that you can see, we can get a little bit of the backstory of some of the artifacts that, we're going to learn about and experience in this exhibit, but that we could also see Rick sort of at odds with, instead of a production assistant like he is now looking for a cup of coffee, an intern, someone who works for the Museum of Antiquities, and he's just trying to get a cup of coffee while he's waiting around for these lectures to take off. So still get your reference to a cup of coffee there, but I think you could fully immerse us in an experience. Now, of course, getting on the attraction, honestly, fairly the same storyline. Instead of it just going in through sets of these artifacts or, sets for these sequel film that, we're going to be shooting, this is the exhibition. It's set up as a tour through these different, halls that have been, filled with artifacts to experience and to learn about. And then, of course, the curse is real, and we go off on the adventure fairly beat for beat the same way that we did before. The only difference is, instead of it being the notion of being on a film set, you're going through an actual tour at the Museum of Antiquities. Now, I don't entirely know if that's what they've done. It's very, very possible. Universal likes to play things very close to the chest and to keep things a secret for as long as possible. They will not announce anything until it's plain sight in front of us. And even then, they'll still wait a couple more weeks just to make sure that, they're not giving anything away. So it's very possible that is the new premise of the attraction. In order to do that, however, I feel like they would need to shoot new footage featuring Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz, and I, fingers crossed, hope that they did that and they're just keeping that under wraps. Again, they did say some folks had seen that the original Q video was playing in the queue. Like there was some of the coverings on the windows that kind of fell the other day, and folks were able to kind of peek through and see. And it looks to be that the original ride pre-show video was still playing. So who knows? I'm glad that we're not getting this attraction completely replaced with the version that was the Tom Cruise film. Again, we went and saw it in the theater, and it was not great, but I think it had potential. I just think there were a few mishaps with that film. I think I did a review of that a long time ago. If I can find that, that's actually probably when this channel was on the other channel that used to be Living the Magic, but is now my vlog channel. Like, I don't know, my YouTube stuff has gone through all kinds of phases and stuff. But if I can find that video, I'll put a link in the description and a card right here. But yeah, that's my idea for what I think they should do with the Mummy attraction. I think everyone is a huge fan of that version of the attraction, a huge fan of the late 90s, early 2000s Mummy movies with the Mummy and all that, the Mummy Returns and the Scorpion King and all that. I mean, it kind of got a little weird towards the end, but I would say that I believe was the first film that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was in, and most likely was the first movie that he was like the star of, which was the Scorpion King, which actually kind of holds up. Not the best, but it's not bad either. So what do you guys think? Do you think this is a good idea? Do you hope that they change it? Do you hope that they leave it exactly the way it is, leave the on-set filmmaking aspect of it as maybe like a little bit of an homage to what Universal Studios used to be? There's an argument to be made for that as well. So But yeah, that's just my idea. Again, I always kind of think of this kind of stuff when I'm walking the dog or doing dishes and stuff, as most theme park fans do. So if you have any ideas for what you'd like to see come to this or any of the other attractions, let me know down in the comments, or you can get at me on Twitter. I am at your Primo Brian. But that's going to do it for me. To thank y'all so much for listening to the podcast, checking out the video. Make sure you're subscribed on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your audio podcasts. And of course, you can check out a video version of all of these at YouTube. I'm Living the Magic. And of course, leave comments. And you can also find it at signalpointmedia.com/livingthemagic. Well, thank you so much. We'll see y'all around. And as always, Kungaloosh.